G'day Melissa, here's your machine. I've just finished doing the service, so the cleaning cycle, the V-scale, the pressure test, leak test, etc. Everything looks normal. The only thing, it was a bit strange at first. When I put the handle and I tested the pressure, it started slipping. I think it was a bit dirty or it was a bit oily. So the handle actually started slipping to the left as the pressure was rising. So let me know if that has happened to you. But after doing the cleaning cycle, it stopped slipping. I think it's, yeah, after the cleaning cycle, all the oils and the dirt on the group head seal, all that was cleaned with the cleaning cycle. So now it's like squeaky clean, so it's very firm. And even testing the pressure again and again, it didn't slip. So I don't think you need to change the rubber seal yet. It looks like it's in good condition and it's normal color as well. But yeah, if the group head seal ever starts to slip, just be sure to give it a wipe and maybe do the cleaning cycle to clean that oil on the rubber so that it doesn't slip next time. But yeah, if it starts leaking around as well, it's time to change. Maybe in a year or two you'll have to change it, but now it looks fairly healthy. Okay, yeah, also I'm gonna test the grinder for you. I've adjusted it from a grind size 5 to a grind size 3. So now it's a grind size 3, which is 2 numbers finer. It looks okay. I had a look at the consistency and it looks like it's close to what I usually grind. So the only way to know if it's the correct grind size actually is to make a coffee. I also took out the single and I'm using the double. I don't really like to use the single, firstly because it's tapered. As you see, it's like very wide on top and it's very narrow at the bottom. So the way the coffee extracts is not going to be even, and even tamping it's not going to be even because it's at an angle. Whereas with the double, it's all like square flat sides. So when you press, it's the same amount of coffee everywhere, and the extraction will be more consistent with this one. Also, it's double the quantity of coffee, so it's going to be more flavorful, more concentrated. Of course, it's going to be more caffeine. So unless your doctor has told you not to drink too much caffeine, or if you're trying to quit caffeine, other than that, I would use the double. I think most coffee professionals and enthusiasts will prefer the double because it's more consistent. So that's why I'm not using the single to test the coffee for you. But yeah, if you have to quit caffeine for any reason, of course the single will make it easier to quit. As you know, there's also decaffeinated beans that you can buy and use with this machine. So you don't have to quit coffee, you just have to quit caffeine. Okay, with that out of the way, this will take about double the amount of this. So this one will take maybe 9 or 10 grams. This one takes 18 grams. I'm not sure if you used a scale with this machine, but I'm going to use a scale anyway, just to confirm what I put in and what comes out. I'm going to get my shot glass. Feel free to skip this part, it's a boring minute or two of me grinding and tamping the coffee. So I've warmed up the portafilter with hot water from the group head. I'm now going to warm up the cup, but I'm going to grind as well. So resetting my scale, testing at grind size number 3, 12 o'clock position and at single. I'm using the Coles brand to test, not the best beans of course, but it's a bit cheaper. So when I'm testing the coffee, when testing coffee machines, it's okay. It's an okay bean, and it's very affordable. So if you use the machine only to make lattes and cappuccinos, and if you don't drink espresso only, I think cheaper beans are okay. But yeah, that's 8.5 grams. So maybe I'll put it to 1 o'clock. Maybe we'll get closer to 9 grams. I'm just going to top it up to 9 grams. Let's see, that's okay. Hopefully next time we should be getting 9 grams. So I did my first dose. I'm going to grind again. Maybe a bit too much, but we'll see. Yeah, it's a bit too much, so I'll keep it at 12 o'clock, so hopefully you can get about 17 or 18 grams in the basket. So a bit under is okay, but when you go over, it starts giving you problems. If you have too much coffee, it'll press the coffee cake or the coffee puck. It'll press it very tightly, and the pressure will be very, very high. You also sometimes will struggle to put on the handle if you have too much coffee. So that's going to put extra wear and tear on the rubber, extra wear and tear on the grip head collar and plastic. So going under is not going to have too much trouble, other than maybe your coffee will be a bit weaker. Okay, and that's 18 grams. Okay, I'm going to spread it around with my finger. Make sure it's nice and flat before I press it with the tamper, so that the consistency will be the same all around. Grab the tamper and press nice and firm. You can use the countertop to press, of course, as you know. You've been making coffee for a year now. I'm sure you know how to use the machine better than me, maybe. And then, yeah, so it's level with the silver part on the tamper. That means it's the correct dose, which is, as I said, it's 18 grams for this basket. Clean the edges. Rock it in just around the middle. Maybe a bit more to the right because it's a bit looser now. Get rid of the water, and now I'm going to reset my scale so that we can measure the output. The buttons were, I think, from factory they weren't changed. So now when I warmed up the cup, it filled the entire cup with hot water, which is 100 grams. So we're gonna reset that. We're gonna recalibrate that to give us the correct amount of water. So usually from the factory settings, the coffee is a bit too long. It's a bit too much that it gives us. So I'm gonna reset it to give us a bit less than that, so that it's the correct amount of coffee. 0. Yeah, to program it's very easy. You press program, then you press the button. I'm going to stop it when it's about halfway. Halfway is about 40 grams. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for 40 grams. I should have timed it as well. Looks like the grind size is a bit too fine. Maybe. I could be wrong. But yeah, its pressure is like 1 o'clock, so it's a bit too high. But the flow is nice and smooth actually. I'm going to stop it there. That was about 30 seconds. Actually, no, forget about that. That was 30 seconds. I think these are perfect settings. The coffee was very, very nice and, what's the word? Well extracted. It wasn't too quick, it wasn't too slow. The pressure was a bit too high. But in the end, we got 34 grams. So I was aiming for, 35 to 40. We got 34 grams. So this is what 34 grams looks like in the shot glass in my hands next to the machine. This is what 40 grams looks like. That came in about 30 seconds. So I think it's going to give us a good coffee from now on if you use similar beans. But of course, every bean is different. So different beans, you'll probably have to change the settings slightly differently. But yeah, that was 18 grams in, 34 grams out in about 30 seconds. I think it was about 30 seconds. But if that's not important to you, what should be important to you is that this is a nicely extracted espresso shot. In terms of the pressure, it wasn't too low pressure. Low pressure will make the coffee taste very sour, but a very high pressure will make the coffee taste very bitter. Yeah, it's got a good amount of crema. The flow is nice and smooth. Wasn't too quick or wasn't too slow. And we warmed up the cups, and we also warmed up the portafilter, so it should be good temperature as well. But yeah, that's how you can get better coffee out of your machine. Just make sure that you follow the numbers as well as you can. It usually gives you a better coffee if you follow the numbers. So now I've reset the button for you. I've made the grind size 2 numbers finer. That should give you a better coffee. You told me that the coffee wasn't excellent before. I'm not sure how it was bad in your experience. Like, was it too bitter? Was it too sour? Was it too diluted and weak in flavor? Yeah, so if it was too bitter, it could mean that the beans you're using are very dark. If it's too bitter, it could also mean that the extraction is very short. So if you only give the coffee this much water, it'll be very concentrated and bitter. But if your coffee was weak or sour, it probably is because you had a very large ground size. So the coffee was very quick and it came out very quick with a very low pressure. That would make the coffee sour as well. Also, if you run the coffee for too long, so if you get 60 grams of coffee from the double shot instead of 40 grams of coffee, that's gonna make it weaker because of course you've added more water to the coffee. And you've extracted the beans more than you have, more than you need to have extracted. Yeah, this is quite strong. Maybe next time I would increase the ground size to number 4 instead of number 3. It's slightly too strong for me, too bitter. So yeah, if I let it go a bit quicker with increasing the ground size by 1 number, that would probably have made it less bitter. But it's a nice shot overall. And of course, if you mix it with milk, it's going to be a different story. Or if you add sugar. Yeah, hope that helped you. I'm happy with the machine. I think you've taken care of it in the past year. It looks good on the outside. On the inside, it has no problems. And yeah, thanks again for coming to me. The machine is ready for collection today, which is Saturday. Yeah, just let me know what time you can do and I'll try to organize it. Thanks again, Melissa. Enjoy.